Here's the other biggest question I've noticed when it comes to From, the questions that I've had, obviously, but when it comes to Fromily, that I feel like I have answered. Where are they? Now, the important point about where are they is that there's so many clues all the way from season 1, episode 1 in the dialogue about what is going on in From and where they are. And a lot of these things I feel like are being forgotten now that we're all the way in season 3 and we're trying to come up with theories and explanations of From, and we're forgetting the things that they've already told us. So number one is that where are they? Are they dead? In my opinion, they're not dead, which is something that actually was confirmed in season 1, episode 2. When Tabitha is talking to the priest while he's still alive, he explains that people have came and asked him all the time, like looking for answers for him, asking, are we all dead? And he basically confirms right there without completely saying it that they are not dead. Biggest sign being that although Tabitha and Jim and her family were in the trailer when they arrived in town, the crash that they supposedly would have died in, when in some people's theories that are saying that this town is like they're all dead, actually happened after they were already in town. So that right there kind of already throws that theory out of the window. None of these people are dead. No one is showing up as dead. And then also, like, pretty much everyone there is alive. So where are they? What is the answer then? I believe that they are in some sort of other dimension that is closer to a dreamscape than anything else. I don't think it's like multiple timelines, other dimension, or like a heaven dimension. I believe it's a dreamscape. They're in some sort of other dimension that exists. If we go back to season 3 and we talk about episode 2, where Tabitha is getting more answers from Victor's dad, he even says himself that Miranda said that this place is everywhere and nowhere. So this is another part of what's going on in From that can kind of convince you that we're dealing with fairies, because in a lot of fairy folklore, it talks about another dimension that fairies exist in that is everywhere and nowhere. I also had to add that a lot of the dark forest fairy imagery and lore ties directly to faraway trees, even some images of fairies and the ends of their crowns looking like bottle trees with things hanging from them. So that's a really interesting point to point out, that although I believe the main monsters are Wendigos, that the other monsters throughout the forest could potentially be fairies, and we could potentially be dealing with even more than just 2 different types of monsters. And it kind of also doubles down to the point of how everyone in town is coming from completely different places. All the places they're coming from are within the United States. So I have to point out that there is a scene in the intro, intro of the show, where it shows a tattered American flag with a crow flying over it. And to me, it's symbolizing that the United States itself might be cursed as a whole. And there is some other dreamscape thing that is happening and taking people from all these different places. And they're basically coming all into this place for a reason. They're being called to this place. They're being brought into this place and chosen. Now we could talk about who is choosing them and why, which I'll get to later on in this video. Now, what also backs up this dreamscape theory is that when Tabitha escapes from, which I do believe she completely escaped from. I think she went to the real world. I think Victor's dad was in the real world. Miranda left all these clues in the real world, including the bottle tree that is in the park, which I believe, in my opinion, might be the only real place in America, or just the only place in Maine, that allows you to physically go into the dimension of From by choice, right? So I believe the bottle tree they were headed to in the park is the only intentional entrance into From, and that, you know, everything else is being chosen and teleported or brought into From using the streets, the trees, and the crow, and all of those things and above. But what makes me think it is a dreamscape or some sort of dream is that throughout the entire show, from season 1, every character has described this place as a nightmare. Now, it's going to take me a lot of work to go back into all of these scenes, if I can even find them, because, you know, finding footage on the show is really hard. But basically, everyone in the show has described this place as a nightmare, which is a very interesting way to use that word and to foreshadow what is going on. And I don't take that lightly. Again, there's a lot of dialogue that happens throughout all 3 seasons that you must pay attention to, very close attention to understand what is going on. But what also backs up this theory is that when Tabitha escapes from, she falls from the lighthouse. We never see her hit the ground. We never see her die, but she falls from the lighthouse. Now, what is this like when you fall in a dream? So to me, when the boy in white is saying this is the only way, he means that the only way to get out of from is to, like in a dream, fall and then wake up from your experience. Now, I see a lot of people saying that is dying a way to get out of from. I don't personally believe dying is a way to get out of from, because then it would kind of defeat the purpose of Tabitha getting out of from and then returning back. So in my opinion, if dying got you out of from and back into the real world, all these people would then inherently come back, wouldn't they? Like, it would almost look like they're being reincarnated, but they just came back to the town. I believe dying in from means you are dead. I genuinely believe that. I don't believe it's an escape. Otherwise, why would no one else who's died in the past in from be looking for everybody else in the town? So to me, when you die in from, you actually die. But if you fall in from a high place, you might wake up. There's probably other ways to also wake up. And obviously beating this game, beating what's going on in from, would wake everybody up. So that's how I feel is going on in from. I believe when you go back to Abby and her visions and her talking about this is the only way for us to be out, to get out, and she kills a bunch of people in the town, that she was literally having a mental breakdown and going the wrong way. Now, so I don't believe she was right about killing everyone would get everybody out, but I do believe she was right that this is all a dream of some sort or some type of dreamscape.